Hey y'all, Christy Cook from Teadoddles. This is part 2 of my baby clothes quilt tutorials. And it's really tips and tricks for dealing with all those baby clothes and all the little things that you may have. I'm finally down to the last little bit that I'm cutting out, and I've got some interesting things. I thought I would do another tutorial video about cutting out some of these other things, and then the next one and probably the last one will be about how I put my blocks together. So let's just dig into this last little bit. Okay, so in these clothes I had some, this is a blanket that has the little girl's name embroidered on it, and I plan on cutting out this border because it's just a single layer of fabric and just a tucked in border, and this corner is very, very thick. So I'll be cutting that off, and I'm just going to use this as a whole piece in the back of the quilt, and then fill in around that because I think it'll be nice to keep it and still have the name, and it's a nice larger piece of fabric that I think will be a flannel piece. It'll be great to put in the back of the quilt. So that piece I'm not cutting out right now. I was just showing that that's what I'm going to do with that. So then I have a couple of, these are like burp cloths. There was 2 of them in here. I guess she likes the pattern. I don't know. These are double layered, so when I cut these out, the first thing I'm going to do is cut around, just around the edges where this trim is. You can do this with scissors too if you like. It just is going to relax the fabric a lot because of wash these knit things like this and they have a big edge like that, it just tends to draw everything up. I probably need to change out my blade. I've cut lots of things with this blade. Little bit. Okay, and that goes into the scrap pile, and I have 2 layers here that I can obviously get my little strips out of. And you'll notice that there are some stains on this, so I may, well, there's stains on both sides. You didn't know. I usually try to avoid stains in the quilt, but sometimes if they have something that they just really want in there, it's unavoidable. And plus it was part of being a baby, right? Okay, there's my 2.5 inches, and I don't have enough left to have another strip, so I just get the 1 strip out of that. I'll just cut these ends off like this. And I'll show you when I set the blocks together why I don't worry about the corners being, the edges being super perfect. And this will go into my other box. Now this one has some terry cloth on the back of it. I probably won't keep that portion of it, just the fun print here. I'm going to show you how you can also cut this with scissors. Just cut around the edge, right, like that, and you may find that easier to do than cutting it with the rotary cutter. And I have cut myself twice while doing this in another video with the rotary cutter. Well, one time I wasn't filming. I just did it because I was not being very careful. And then the second time I did it while I was trying to cut at a weird angle while filming, so I have to be cautious of that. Of course, I'm a clumsy person anyway. Let's see. There we go. I think that took a little bit longer. So, I don't know. I may keep some of this. It has a nice texture to it. And really, there's some other textured things in this quilt, like flannels and stuff. So, and some denim, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So, have that cut off, and then I do my 2.5 inch strip. This one I should get several. I think that was a little wonky. Yep. As long as it's just a little bit, I can still use it. Now 2.5. Make sure I'm actually on 2.5. I know in my first video I didn't actually have it at 2.5. So there we go. And cut off these rounded corners. And now I have all of these strips. Alright, so the last in this little bunch is obviously the blanket from the hospital. I recognize this is like a common blanket they use at hospitals. I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna, I may cut out a strip with this stripe, because that's the most recognizable feature of this. And then because it's so big, it may be something that I put on the back of the quilt as well. I don't know yet. So that one is, I'm still thinking about. But this would definitely be something you could just cut into strips or use as one big piece, however you'd like to do it. I'll see once I get my other blocks together how I'm going to use that. Alright, so next we have a bunch of hats and some booties. These don't offer very much fabric to the quilt itself, but what you can do, it's got this cute little face on it with the bow. You can cut, you have to cut off this whole top basically. So I'm going to snip right there and go all around the seam and cut the sole off first. Can you imagine? Why would they put such a huge tag in some tiny little booties? I mean, seriously, that is out of control. Anyway, let's see. So, cut off the whole sole, and then I have this little part with the face that I would like to keep. This is not gonna work like I thought it would, but what you can do, you could do something like that if you really wanted to, cut off some of that and sew that to the top, but I think that's just going to be silly looking. Kind of looks like a rosette, but the face is probably I don't know, maybe these were her first booties. I don't know, but I'm just going to cut off this little face to stick on there for now. I don't know what else you could really do. But the booties, it's the first time I've had booties for baby stuff. I don't know if you could cut that and flip it open and have more. I don't know. I'm just going to cut right across here for this one instead of cutting that whole bottom off. And then I have this other little face. And I could put this where part of it was in the seam. The little face peeps out. And you just kind of zigzag stitch on the the other portion. Okay, so that was not very easy to cut out, but that's about all I can think that I could save for my booty. So now we got some hats. And I don't know what's special about this hat, but then there's a big tag in it again. So with a hat, I would cut off one side of it. Like so. So, cut out this little piece, which looks like the hat, and you can actually sew that, and then it's the hat, because you don't want all of this. It's too much, and actually, probably would cut off the other half of that too. To make it even thinner. We'll see, because it does leave the hem if you leave that portion, but I can just keep part of it. But that's something you can do with hats to shave the little shape of the hat. I have several hats over here. So there's that one, which is really cute, and you may have to see, this one's not laying as flat with that, but sometimes if you just stitch around it and you have that little bump, it just makes it look more like a hat on the quilt, because this hat's going to have this quilt is going to have lots of texture and stuff, so I think it's going to be really neat to have some bumped up places like that. And then I've got this one more, which I'm not certain if she wants this little emblem showing, so now I have, again, this is very thick, so we'll see how that looks. I stitched a little block down like that. Okay, next up is bibs. There's two Batman bibs. So the first thing I would do is cut off all this trim, and I'll just keep this square in here. And these are also doubly lined, so I really only need that front piece. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off. Now I have a little Batman block. Don't need that back part either. There it is. I need to square him up, or nah. Just so I need to cut off more here so I can get keep that bottom far away from the other piece. And center design as far away as possible. And sometimes these things still get tucked under seams, but there's not too much you can do about it when you have certain corners and curves. Let's see. There is a little Batman square. And that's what I'll do with all of these bibs I have over here. I have several bibs, another Batman bib. And I'll cut all of those out like that. So, let's see. What's something else I have over here? We got a little pair of blue jeans. These are cute as a button, but obviously blue jeans have, it's a tougher fabric usually, which is, this is a fairly lightweight denim because it's stretchy. So what I'll be doing is cutting right down the seam. Okay, so I've cut the whole front off of that little pair of jeans, and if you want to, you can sew this right on the quilt like this on top of some other blocks, which I may do. You just have to make sure that you stitch this, so if you want the button to open, close, much like that zipper thing, if you want the button to still come open, because this is actually a snap, not a button. So you would stitch this so that it doesn't come open, and well, I don't know, it might be okay if that comes open. If I've stitched across here, it probably won't open very far. So that's how you can do that, because you can just stitch this right on top of a block on the quilt if you want to keep it that way. Or you could cut it more into a strip to incorporate in the quilt. I think I'm going to leave it like this for now. Then I have the back side, which, let's see, what does this measure? I always use part of it as a strip in the quilt as well. It's plenty big enough, so I'll probably be cutting a 2-inch strip out of this. Alright. There's 2 pieces. And this is something you could do with the front as well, if you wanted to. Cut. My 2.5 inch strips out of that. And there we go. So you could do the front and back like that, or you could do one side like I did, where I kept the whole front. And that may change after I see what all it's got to be on this quilt. So there's 2 more strips for my 2-inch strip pile. Now let's see what else I got going on over here. This is a pair of overalls. These are just cotton overalls. They're cute as a button. I should have ironed this first, but so I would do the legs the same as I just did those blue jeans. I'd cut all this out and get my 2-inch strips out of it. Now this top portion right here, it's hard to keep this part here. You can do it more like a patch, and then maybe even, my idea with, I had some other dresses like this. Instead of having the buttons go up and down like they normally do, I could make this a block and then put this, button it into here, and put the strip over one of the 2-inch strips in the side. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. So it would go this way, sideways, instead of up and down. So that's what I'm going to do there. I'm not going to try to cut this out right now on camera, but I will show you a block once I get it finished of how I did that. So that's something else I need to cut. Let's see, what else do I have over here? I have these little shorts, and these are blue jean shorts, and they're also cute. I will probably wind up, for these in particular, just keeping enough fabric to keep that side detail in. These are little shorts are a little bit harder because there's not much fabric to work with. They have a lot of pockets, so some of this I may do, like cut this out, right, to be used as a block or something. That's probably going to be the best that I can do with these little shorts, the back pockets, because the front has the other little pockets, but they're are some stains, but the back doesn't have as many. It doesn't look, yeah, I think that's probably what I'll do. Then you'll get to see a little rough little edge and all of this. So that's how I'll cut that out. And one thing that I'm still thinking about a good bit, these are overalls again, but these are blue jean overalls. And I could cut out the whole front like I did those blue jeans and put this on the quilt. This part would be a little bit difficult to tack down. But I think I may just use the leg part, similar to the way I did the jeans before. And then cut this top portion off. I'm still not sure how I'm going to use this one, honestly. I haven't cut this yet because it is, I've never had one that had these blue jean overalls in. Blue jeans were okay, they're thinner. This is a kind of heavyweight denim. So I just don't know if I'm gonna have room to cut the whole thing out. So I'm gonna wait till I put the rest of the blocks together to see if I'm gonna cut the top off and use it, or if I'm just gonna be able to use strips. So that one's gonna wait until I get my other blocks done. Okay, so what else do we have over here? I have this jumper, which this I would just cut in 2-inch strips normally. This was like a one jumper, but I thought if I don't need it, it would be really cute to make a little purse out of, right? I could just sew down the bottom and up this side and sew these ends together to make a little handle, and then it would be a cute little purse. So that's why I'm hanging on to that one. Let's see. So I have this, which looks like it's a quilt already, but it was actually a skirt. And I took out, all these seams are serged. See? And I took out the serging on one strip, and I had thought I'd do that on all of them. But I was measuring, and it looks like, let's see, if I just cut along the seam, this would be a 2.5-inch strip. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, because I think that'll be the quickest thing to do. But I need to really, okay, all of these are ironed to the other side, and I want to make sure, I'm gonna have to cut this later. I'm not gonna pay better attention to it. So that's what I'm gonna do with that. I'm gonna go ahead and cut those strips because they are about 2.5 inches if I just cut the seam out. Okay. One other thing I wanted to show y'all was ruffles. A lot of these little outfits had ruffles at the bottom, and I have them all saved over there, and my intent is to sew some of them in between the strips so they kind of overlay things, and there's little ruffles here and there on the quilt. We will see how that goes, because honestly, the last baby quilt I did that had baby clothes, I don't remember there being quite so many ruffles or quite so many clothes either. So I would cut and leave enough of this so that I'd have something to sew on to, because I don't want to sew across the seam again. It's kind of thick. But I would sew this into the seam of the 2.5-inch strips, and then this ruffle would kind of overlay things a little bit. And I'll show that once I start sewing blocks again or together. So that's something I just wanted to show y'all. That's how I would handle that. And then something else. I had one with snaps over here. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm doing for some of these with snaps, you can cut it out and not use it, or you could probably even cut down the side and get 2-inch strips if you wanted. First I'm going to tuck the tag out. I like to do this because I can keep these snaps in some places in the quilt. So, let's see. I'll cut the skirt off first. This is a little bit flatter when you do that. And I've got it kind of centered on 1-inch squares on my grid. And so this is my center point. So I need 1 1/4 on each side because I have 2.5-inch strips. So plan is to put these in the 2-inch strip. And yes, it's going to be a bulkier seam here. But you can, I'm going to have to use a heavy duty knitting needle when I sew this stuff together. But it just adds a cute little detail. And if this end's sewn, even if you pull that up, I would sew right along this edge to keep you from getting into the interior of the quilt. So that's how I've been doing snaps. We'll see how that actually works. I've never tried that before. So let's see. These strips are too small and narrow to try to cut anything out of. There was something else over here. I felt like I had this. There was a skirt that had these little pockets that were really cute. So I decided to keep the pockets and make it part of the quilt. So I could take, let's see, I have 2.5. I'll still have some of that pocket. It's going to cut off the bottom of the pocket, but when I sew it into the seam, it'll be still closed. And that's going to be just another cute little detail in the quilt. So let's see. I'm not going to cut that one yet either. Some of these things are difficult to cut on camera. I don't know if I've shown a onesie without the zipper. So this is a onesie where I took out the snaps or the zipper that was running through because it's all the same fabric all over. And again, I'll cut the seams out the side, and I cut, I usually fold these right in half like this, so I can cut more than one layer at a time. And I'll put it right up above my line and just try to get everything as flat as I can so I can get the most fabric out of it and have less cuts. So I'm not going to cut that on camera because I need pressure to cut this to hold it down good. But that's what I would do. I'd line my ruler up right there like so. You can push on it some. Then I would cut it, and then I would cut my 2 inches, and then I have several strips cut at one time. And I've done that with some of the t-shirts when I had a bunch of them that I could stack. If they were all backs and I had no center thing to cut out, I would stack them up and cut them, because when you're dealing with things like this, you have lots of things you have to individually cut. So anything you can cut in a stack, take advantage of it. Alright, so I think that that's it for this little video. I'm gonna do another one when I start putting blocks together to show how I put the blocks together. I think that'll help explain the reason I cut some of these better. So if you liked this tutorial, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see y'all next time.